Welcome to another episode of the Motivate, Grind, Succeed podcast, the show that gives you 100% fluff-free, guaranteed, practical, and useful tips with every episode so you can live up to your true potential. If you're new to the show, welcome, and I know you're going to get some value from this week's episode. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. A quick favor to all who are listening, new or returning, if at any point in time of this episode you get some value, I ask that you share this episode with someone and go ahead and rate the show what you think it's worth. All right, with that intro out of the way, let's get right into this week's episode. Alrighty, real quick though, before we hop into this week's episode, I want to get a couple quick housekeeping things out of the way. Spotify has added the ability to rate podcasts. Hooray! So if you are one of the lovely listeners that are over there on the platform known as Spotify and you want to give this podcast a rating, please go ahead and give that a rating of what you think that this show deserves. That would be absolutely fantabulous. Also, other than my social media, we have a website. mgspodcast.com. That is going to be in this episode's description. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, please feel free to go and do so. Our website's going to essentially house all kinds of information, like how the podcast started. If you want to listen to episodes over there, it's essentially just a very large landing page for it, including if you want to be a guest on the show. You can, of course, go ahead and check that out. There's a link to you can go ahead and do that. And there's a couple other things that I have planned for the website, but right now it's basically just a glorified landing page. But if you want to go ahead and check it out, I would be more than happy if you were to go ahead and do that. Now, with that out of the way, let's go on and get with this week's episode entitled, Why Are You Worrying? Our minds can be some serious Olympic runners. Always going, okay? Like an Energizer bunny. Sometimes it can be because we're driven, but other times it can be because we worry too much. We worry about what will happen if something doesn't get done, and then worry about what will happen after you don't get done what you need to get done. And then you worry about yourself worrying, saying that you shouldn't worry, and then it becomes this never-ending spiral. Sound familiar? Yeah. Well, what if I told you that there is a pretty simple solution to all of this? Now, note I said simple, not easy. There's a big difference between simple and easy. Simple is in terms of conceptual understanding, and easy is in terms of the actual action performed. So, this simple step is to take massive action. Yeah, you probably heard it before, but would it be constantly repeated if there was no merit to it? So, back to what I said before, if you're worried about what will happen if something doesn't get done, if you can do something about it, go get said thing done. If you're worried about, okay, let's put it this way. Let's say you're in school, right? It's school time when this is being released, and you're worried about a test that's coming up. Instead of worrying about a test, ask yourself, what can you do to not worry about this test? What can you do to better prepare for this test so when this test comes around, you're not as concerned? Well, you could go to office hours. You can go to a tutor. You can study more. You can redo homework questions. You can redo practice questions. You can ask the teacher more help. You can ask some friends for help. You can skip that 10 p.m. party that's just going on Friday night. Instead, stay in and watch some YouTube videos to help yourself learn more. Whatever you got to do, instead of worrying, see if you can replace that worrying with action. Okay? So for my slightly older listeners, okay, or people who do this anyway, let's say you're worried about not being able to pay your bills. So you sit there and worry. What does it do for you? Think about it. If you cannot pay your bills and you're sitting there worrying, Oh my God, I can't pay my bills. What am I gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do. What is that actually doing for you? Does it put more money in your pocket? No. Does it make the due date get postponed anymore? No. And does that make the bills magically get paid? Nah. So in all, what does worrying really do for you? Nothing, really. But technically that's not true. If you let me get a little sciencey for a second. If you don't care, go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. But if you do care a little bit, I promise it'll be really quick. If you worry excessively, you can actually cause yourself to have higher levels of anxiety and even send yourself into a panic if it's that high of a level of anxiety. Worrying also increases your stress levels, also known as your cortisol levels, which, if it is too high, can lead to effects like headaches, heart disease, weight gain, insomnia, and the list keeps going on. So the moral of the story is, if you can do something, please go do. Okay, so going back to our can't pay bills example, if you need more money, what should you do? Make a plan and take action on that plan. Doesn't matter what the plan is. If you need to go start a side business, go start a side business. If you need to work some OT at work, go get some OT at work. If you need to go harder in your business you already have, go harder in the business that you already have. Do you need to cut back on some things? Like, instead of eating steak all the time, do you need to cut back and eat some chicken? Or what about your extravagant things? Do you really need that newest iPhone coming out? Do you really need the newest Samsung coming out right now? Or is your phone still okay to go another 6 months to a year? All this is action that you can take to defeat worry in the can't pay bills example. So, how about a not so fun fact? Did you know that you can think yourself into worrying? Yeah, you've probably heard this before, and it's called the law of attraction. Now, it's not a big bunch of mumbo jumbo, okay? Quick disclaimer, it's not a big bunch of mumbo jumbo. Because a lot of people will say law of attraction doesn't work, okay? They'll sit there and say, I'm going to think I have $1 million, and if I don't have $1 million tomorrow, that means it doesn't work. No, that's not how it works. Law of attraction means you think about something to the point where you believe that you can do it, and then you take, what's the word? Action to go and do it. You don't just sit there and just act like a Buddhist monk, just, I will get $1 million and do nothing about it. Okay? Just a quick aside on that. But law of attraction, it says that what you focus on becomes what you see and what you notice everywhere. So in this case, if you focus on your worries, all you'll begin to see is more worries. If you switch your worrying thoughts to thoughts on how to take more action, the law of attraction will begin working for you instead of against you. I think it was Gandhi who said that that famous quote that you might see in office cubicles or professors' offices or whatever, somewhere. Okay, the quote goes something like, your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. If left unchecked, you worrying all the time will not end well for you. And you're going to train yourself to worry about everything, everywhere, no matter what's going on. So, I'll leave you with this. Take massive action and change your thoughts. And if you change your thoughts, you'll begin to change your words. And when you change your words, you'll begin to change your actions. Changed actions will lead to changed habits. Those changed habits will lead to changed values. And those changed values will lead to a changed destiny. And with that, I'm going to bring this week's episode to a close. Thank you so much for tuning in. But before you go, I do have a couple of requests for you. Number one, please subscribe to the show if you found it useful, and be on the lookout for new episodes every Monday. Number two, leave a review of what you think of this week's episode. And number three, don't forget to follow me on social media. All the links to that will be in this episode's description. Also, don't forget to always implement the steps that you hear in order to get the most bang for buck out of each and every episode. A goal without the necessary steps planned and taken is just a dream. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all in the next episode.